truth, love, healing. What up? It's me, Kevin, your host with the most. Maybe not the most, but I got enough. It's funny. I haven't made any videos in like 2 years. I just made my first video in 2 years, and then it just hit me. I have another video to make. So I'm going to make it right now while I'm sitting in front of the computer. This video, I've shared this with some of my male spiritual brothers, and they found it helpful. And I think it's really helpful to share. And this message is about pornography. Pornography is a gateway to hell. Pornography is the greatest tool of Lucifer to bring you down. It's the perfect Luciferic tool. Because, on the surface, what's wrong with it? We're adults. We're watching consenting adults perform the most fun thing to do as a human. However, that's just a surface level, right? The Luciferic, the way it is, the way it operates, is it distorts truth. And it's very good at what it does. So in that distortion of truth, it could take anything, twist it, to pull you down and to distort your mind, body, and soul. And so in society today, pornography is prolific. It's online. You don't have to pay. You just a couple keystrokes, and then there's a couple hand strokes. Sorry to be so crude. But it's true, right? And it's so accessible that it's an easy rabbit hole to fall into. And on the surface level, it doesn't seem like anything's wrong. You're watching consenting adults perform what we all love to do. However, there's a very, very, very dark energy in porn. And it's helpful to be more aware of it. Now, sexual energy is the most powerful energy on earth, right? That's why we're even here. That's why we're alive. Is because of that. Wars have been fought over things that are based in sexual energy. And if you're serious about your spiritual health, you will start opening your eyes to what's really there. When you are engaging in pornography, one, it is opening a doorway within you to very dark things. And many people who have indulged in pornography, which is most people, may have testified too that when you start watching it, and then you start getting pulled in. So at first you're watching something fairly vanilla. Next thing you know, you're watching something you never thought you would ever watch. And then you have the guilt and the shame and all the feelings. And it's a dopamine thing, right? Dopamine is the biggest drug in the world, right? The dopamine that rushes with all this, the thrills, the forbidden, all these things really entice you. They seduce you. And so we engage in porn all the time as a society. And the first thing to be aware of is what you're really doing. You think you're just indulging in the pleasures of sexuality, even if it's just with yourself. You're just viewing it. We're human. What's wrong with it? No one's getting, it's all consensual, right? But what you're not willfully, not aware of, is what's really happening. I would put anyone to the Pepsi challenge to show me a porn star who isn't completely traumatized and full of abuse and self-hatred. Those who love themselves and are in some form of peace do not do pornography. Or if they're not twisted through some form of abuse, do not engage in pornography. So what you're seeing 99.9999% of the time, you are watching a little child who is absolutely destroyed, has no sense of worth. And yes, they may be an adult now. But one thing that happens in the trauma is when that child is traumatized, that child never leaves, and they actually are the dominant motivator within them. And they're seeking some kind of approval, some kind of worth. And they're doing it through pornography, through throwing themselves on the fire of desecration and dishonoring. And even the men too. Even though within the man, sexual energy and cultural structuring of the ideas is held differently, it's still the same. There's something off. And so when you actually engage in it, you're watching it, and you are actually getting sexual arousal and pleasure and even an orgasm off of watching this, the fruits of their trauma. Think about that. Think about what you have accepted a relationship with, what energy, and start. It's not about guilt, right? You watch it. Everyone's watched it. The thing is not to go into, oh my God, I'm so disgusting, but no, start being aware. Awareness will help you make different decisions. And pornography has an effect on you that's unseen. And so when you stop engaging in it, you'll start noticing the difference, the cleanliness in your mind, a little bit more pure. And again, we're human beings. There's nothing wrong with sex. But just because there's nothing wrong with sex doesn't mean sex can't be used wrongly, can't be performed out of a very dark energy. And at those levels, it's not even about the sex. It's about the exploitation. It's about the abuse. It's about power. It's about the forbidden. And deeper within that could be a middle finger to God. And so just be aware. I'm not a moral police. I got my own problems. But especially for men, as you're going along your path, if you're engaging in porn, I understand. And you are engaging in energies that are not helping you. And karma. My teacher, Dr. David R. Hawkins, he once shared a story. Not a story, but he shared a teaching that in ancient times, in the gladiator arena, the whole crowd had to put their thumbs up or down for life or death. And everyone who voted for death joined in that karma of the killing. Now, in the group culture, in the vibe, the field of the arena, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Hey, we're all just in the crowd. This is what you're supposed to do. But there's still consequences of joining in that karma. And so it's the same exact thing when you engage in pornography. You are engaging in a karma, the fruits of abuse and warping. And it's not good for you. That's all I got to say. Not good for you. And again, if you watch it, don't run off into guilt and shame. However, start developing new habits that when the thought comes up and you want to go there immediately, go for a walk, do 10 push-ups, do something else, and then see if you still feel it. And it takes discipline, but it doesn't take too long to develop a new neural pathway where you don't just go there. Because on this path, it's very straight and narrow is the path. It's very demanding. And so you must stay away from anything that's out of integrity and that, with pornography, Luciferic, and I'm not saying that to be dramatic, Luciferic, what it does to you, the nasty karma that it's inviting you into, and it's so inviting, right? Like temptations would not be temptations unless they are tempting. So it's perfect, in terms of evil, it's perfect. It's perfect. And that's why it's so successful. And its effect on mankind, the consciousness of mankind, the morality of mankind has been, there's no way to ever articulate it, to ever comprehend it. So start becoming aware of the things you allow in your consciousness, particularly porn, because the energy is so dark and the karma that you're participating in, maybe outside of your awareness, is really dark. And the effect on your heart, your mind, your soul is really deleterious. So, something to think about. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning. I hope this is helpful. Until next time. Truth, love, healing. Yada.